right, we're back live with another episode. We are live on Radio Row, live in Vegas. I have a good friend, Samantha Holt, fantasy football expert. I know she don't like this when I say that, but she is an expert. She's won a lot of fantasy football drafts, things like that. She works for Matthew Berry's Fantasy Life as well. Samantha, thank you for doing this again. Really appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. Tell us about your experience here at Radio Row Super Bowl. Is this your, how many times you've been doing this?
This is my first media week. So last year I went to Phoenix for, obviously the Super Bowl and just kind of hung out with all of my friends there. Okay. Did the NFL experience, but wasn't able to do the Radio Row. So this is my first experience doing that. And it is a trip.
Yes. Insane, right?
Ooh, it is insane. It's kind of like one of those things. What's the saying? Like if you stand in one place and Central Park in New York City, you get to see the entire city. Like people walk past you. I feel like that here because if I stand still for long enough, it's just Hall of Famer this way, active player this way. These different media people that you're seeing, you're just like, I know all of these people. It's crazy.
Right. Yeah.
And it's even weirder when you're sitting here doing an interview, like, oh, that's Shannon Sharp. Oh, you gotta like lock in and stay focused. Yeah.
You gotta focus, but also kind of keep your head on a swivel. Because I was watching the Pat McAfee show, and I love that you said Cam Newton because I was watching, and then all of a sudden I just felt this presence, and he scared me because he was right behind me, so I was able to grab a quick picture with him. But it was just such a trip to be watching McAfee and Sharp.
These people are a lot taller than you think they are.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, whoa.
I mean, I'm 5'5", and I'm an average height, so it's just also so weird to turn and just feel so dwarfed by so many of these people. It's crazy.
Right.
Yeah, when Cam Newton passed by, we were like, yeah, he's much taller, 6'5", 6'6", and he said we ran Shannon Sharp. I got a picture with Donovan Madden. We were talking earlier, and he's running and everything, so we took that picture too. So, but fantasy football, with the Super Bowl, what it is today, what it is right now with the 49ers and Chiefs, any props that you're looking at or any favorites you're looking for?
I think I'm liking the over for Travis Kelce just because this is absolutely his stage to shine in terms of what he's going to do. And in order for the Chiefs to secure the win, I do feel like he's going to have to step it up. But he's already been doing that so far this entire playoff. Yeah. So I'm gonna go for the over when it comes to Travis Kelce. And I'm liking a lot of the props I'm seeing for Debo as well. I feel like he's going to have to be really involved in order to get the Niners the win too.
Yeah, Debo he's getting a lot of love. You think the running game will be an important factor too with Pacheco and, of course, CMC on the other side.
Absolutely. No, I'm excited to see a lot of great play. I mean, that's what's amazing about both of these teams. Obviously, you have such amazing fantasy value amongst both of these teams, so it's really fun to get to watch them have to show up against each other. I'm a little bit nervous for the Niners, though, because they were able to so quickly fall behind against the Lions. If they allow that to happen against the Chiefs, they're not going to be able to play catch up because this is not a team you want to fall behind to.
Right. And we were talking about, we talked about this a couple times, Kittle. Now, Kittle may be doing more blocking than he may be doing receiving, which is another hindrance to them.
Yeah, I've heard that from a couple people actually today too, saying the same thing. They've got so many weapons, but Kittle's gonna have to do what he's also amazing at, which is doing a lot of blocking in order to, secure the ball, but also just make sure that everyone else be able to run because this Kansas City defense is no joke.
True. And they've both had rocky seasons. You just look at how Kansas City, on paper, you wouldn't expect them to be here just based on how they've lost different games, on how they've, and the 49ers, again, I think they're fully healthy this time, which is the difference between this year and previous years. Absolutely.
No, I mean, both have definitely gone through some different injury woes, but it seems like everyone, knock on something, is completely healthy and looking good. Knock on plastic. They should be looking good for this weekend.
Yeah.
How do you, your fantasy football career, how did you do this year with it? I know we talked about this before, but let everyone know how you go do a lot of drafts. I do like 10 plus or even more, right?
This year was 10 leagues, so that was less for me than normal. I did make it to the championships in several leagues, but it just happened to be one of those weeks where everyone decided to not show up, so did not end up getting the trophies that I wanted. However, I will say that I'm really proud of this one victory. Every year they do these draft with an analyst type of scenarios, and I was raising money for St. Jude, and the person I helped to draft their team, they won their league. So I honestly, that felt really good because, you're sitting there, co-captaining for someone as they're drafting and they're going back and forth on picks and you're giving those little nuggets of advice and getting to see someone like that win off of those little tidbits that you give them. That felt like a really good win for me.
Yeah. How long have you been playing fantasy football?
Since 2010, so a very long time.
A very long time.
Very long time. Been obsessed with the sport since I was young. Learned about fantasy football in college with my friends, and then it just kind of spiraled because I already loved my Steelers, but it gave me an excuse to learn more.
Hit the move button.
No, I'm a nice one. I promise. I'm a nice Steelers fan. I love the Ravens. I love Joe Burrow. You know, there's so many. That's what I love about fantasy. It's taken me from being that, you know, in one place fan, and I am just a fan of the players now. So yes, do I want my Steelers to win? Absolutely. But I'm a fan of the players first. Every year people say, what do you want this year? I want nobody to get hurt. That's ultimately what I'd like going into every season.
Yeah.
Right. And you're doing some work with women of fantasy football too. I know that's very important to you. Talk about that, what it is, women of fantasy football, and the growth of women of fantasy football, because it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger each and every year.
Absolutely. I have to thank, Faith and Josh and Kelly of Women of Fantasy Football and giving me the media pass that I had to get here in order to have this experience. And that's what they're all about, is creating these opportunities and experiences for women in the space so that they can, grow their craft and get the reps in that are so important for us in order to continue to grow in the industry and get recognized for the work that we're doing. So it all starts with opportunities, and they're doing an amazing job of doing that for everybody as well.
So in kind of recent history, your biggest fantasy player winner and loser?
Ooh, my biggest winner and my biggest loser. Well, I don't want to say my most recent loser was Travis Kelce this season, but he absolutely was. I took him number one in a league, and I absolutely was not the move for me. This was not his season. I know. So that was definitely a big loss for me. I want to say a big win in one league was I took CJ Stroud, and I took him late. I took Anthony Richardson first, and then I took CJ Stroud. So, but it was great because I had Richardson to start the season. And then as he dropped off, immediately Stroud was an amazing fit for me there. So that was a great 1-2 punch. And I'm looking forward to seeing where I can get them next year, because I think that a lot of people might be sleeping on Richardson based on the injury, but I also think that Stroud might be going exceedingly high based on his performance this year. So it's going to be really interesting when we see the metrics come in terms of how everyone's ranking them.
In terms of the format of the fantasy football league that you prefer a flex, a super flex? Which one is your preferred format? My
preferred is definitely super flex and PPR. One of the leagues that I'm in that have been in the longest, we are very proud of making our league as complicated as possible. So it's uniquely half point PPR, but super flex and full IDP. So we have 6 IDP spots, which makes it so much fun. And it's dynasty as well. That also involves salaries and salary caps, as well as year contracts that go to each player. So there's a lot of spreadsheets that go into managing your team every year.
How do you manage 10 leagues? How do you, what are they all on the same app, or they're different? Oh, wow.
They're all on different apps, but I give the same answer to everyone. I'm single and I don't have kids, so I got a lot of free time compared to other people.
There you go.
Yeah.
And you said, do IDP. That's a hard thing to do. It's like you're basically a general manager.
Absolutely. But that's ultimately part of the fun of doing fantasy in the first place, isn't it? You're creating and crafting these teams, which is why I also love Dynasty so much, because you get to watch these players grow, not only with their teams, but when they get traded, obviously affects their value as well in terms of where you take them, where you trade them. Having different rookie drafts as well, I think just adds a different level. And just honestly, I love every year that I get to learn a little bit more about the sport, and it gets me more and more involved. I'm just someone that loves learning, and fantasy sports has been amazing for me for that, and just keeping me driven. Clearly, I don't like being bored, so I just love to keep going into it.
Yeah. Where do you see fantasy football, fantasy sports going in the future? There's nothing but up in terms of where it's going. It's getting so much more support, even from the players as well, in terms of them buying in. There's still some that are not big fans, but ultimately I think it is bringing more eyes to the sport, which is just helping everything as well. Right.
I mean, NFL is already the biggest sport that there is out there, biggest market, but it doesn't hurt to have people cheering for not just their teams, but like I said, cheering for the players themselves and just wanting to see everyone have amazing careers and amazing success.
Yeah.
We got some shout outs here. Nathan says Happy Women's Day and Sports Day. So how do you feel about that? Happy Women's Sports Day, and how important that is to you as a woman in fantasy football, and working with Matthew Berry, who's like the godfather of fantasy football. So you get to work with him on a daily basis.
Absolutely. I think it's so important to highlight the amazing work that's being done by the women that are in media and sports. And just taking those moments is always huge. And I love that, people posting make sure you're following this person and this person, just because it's helping shine a light on everybody that's working so hard and doing amazing work that gets highlighted. And you bring up Matthew, who's such a great proponent for women in sports and been such an amazing mentor. Always, there for advice if you need it. It's people like him that are in the space that are helping, shine a light on those that are doing hard work and doing amazing work. That definitely helps a lot.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Well, Sam, we appreciate you coming onto the show always. Let everyone know where they can find you, follow you, and all your socials.
Absolutely. Thank you again so much, you guys, for having me. I really appreciate it. You guys can follow me on Twitter at Samantha R. Holt, on Instagram at Sam_awesome. And make sure to go to fantasylife.com and check out the newsletter. It's completely free, written by amazing analysts. There's brand new content every single day for you as we lead up to the Super Bowl. Lots of great picks, over and unders there, make sure you check that out.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you. That was fun.
Yes.